This training video depicts installing a flow cross onto a wellhead. This is done for various reasons, the most common of which is fluid returns, while a coil tubing unit performs well intervention operations. This training module is not all-inclusive. Always seek clarification if something is not fully understood. You must stop the job if you have questions or concerns, particularly regarding health, safety, or environmental damage. Bear Bell LLC is not responsible for any damages. Use at your own risk. Before beginning any task on a drill site, an updated wind direction should be observed by the nearest windsock. Take note of the upwind direction, as this will be your path in an emergency. If the well house has a window, look for any potential hazards before opening the door. Hazards include stepping surfaces, leaking fittings, wildlife, etc. Look for a sign on the well house notifying you of high H2S. Treating every well as a potential source of high H2S is the best practice. Once you have confirmed that the well number matches the work order and the absence of hazards, open the necessary doors. As roof doors have been known to fall off, door hinges must be inspected for their integrity before being manipulated. Persons must be outside the cone of death during this process, the area directly below and near the potential landing areas. The swab, or the crown valve, should be cycled fully open and then closed. Count the number of valve rotations to verify that this number matches the placard on the valve body. Valves may require minor manipulation to find their closed position. Before removing the JIC cap, confirm that the half-inch needle valve is fully closed. A leaking valve will cause trapped pressure, causing a discharge and spray during loosening. If the threaded connection attached to the JIC cap is unthreading, tighten this connection and then quickly snap with the wrench against the JIC cap to shock the threads loose. A metallic bucket should now be placed under the JIC fitting. If the metal bucket cannot contact a good grounding surface, this bucket should be grounded with a grounding strap. Painted surfaces are insulated and are not qualified grounding surfaces. Before opening the needle valve, stand upwind of the bucket so that any vapors are naturally directed away from you. The amount of fluid discharged from this process is minimal, if any. Should the bucket fill, the swab valve is leaking. To correct, manipulate the valve by opening or closing in eighth turn increments. If this fails, a valve technician should be contacted for service. It is also acceptable to use a bleed trailer instead of a bucket. However, this process introduces an array of additional risks that this training will not include. The collar may only be removed once there is no active flow from the bleed port. Note: if there is fluid and you need to use a hammer to loosen the collar, keep the bucket at the bleed port or close the needle valve, as hammering the collar will energize the fluid and cause it to spray out the bleed port. Once the collar has reached its last thread, rotate it down 2 or 3 threads to center the plug body during prying. Once the plug body travels upwards, have another person hold it upright to prevent its downward travel while the collar is removed. Pulling upwards on the plug body with the bleed valve open, ensure the O-ring is in good condition and hasn't fallen into the well. If the O-ring has fallen, baling wire made into a treble hook is suited to retrieve the O-ring. After confirming zero flow, you may lock out the valve by removing the handle. Removing the handle may not be feasible across differing manufacturers. Flagging tape may be used to alert personnel that the handle should not be manipulated. Remove the lower nuts with the appropriate wrench size. The star pattern, as depicted, is optional when loosening. If possible, remove the studs to reduce the weight of the wellhead flange adapter and set it to the side. Place the plug and collar back onto the flange adapter and tie the assembly to the scaffolding to reduce the risk of dropped objects. Check the ring gasket for any defects. Should the gasket become damaged while removing the wellhead flange adapter, you must replace it. At this point, the flow cross should be positioned directly over the wellhead from the roof and guided by the rigger on the rooftop. No other person should be in the cone of death. When the flow cross nears the connection point, guide it by at least 2 people to reduce the risk of muscle strains and to provide crane signals. During this process, no hands may be placed between the flow cross and the wellhead connection. The body of this swab valve is too high to allow the nuts to be applied after the flow cross is fully set. Signal the crane operator that you must apply the applicable nuts before landing the load. The crane operator must repeat your command before placing hands in the crush zone. Once the nuts are threaded just beyond the width of the nut, confirm that everyone is clear of the load before signaling the crane operator to land the load. Once landed, apply and tighten one of the 2 rearmost nuts. The tightening of one rear nut will pull the entire flow cross backward and even the gap. The circular gap between the flow cross and wellhead must be even. The other 7 nuts should be hand-tightened only after an even gap has been confirmed. The most popular tightening method is a star pattern followed by a half moon. It is critical that no other tightening occurs after the half moon, as doing so would offset the torque applied. Both patterns will begin with a combination wrench followed by a hammer wrench. A nut is considered tightened when there is a distinctive opposing bounce to the hammer wrench post-strike. Confirm that the flow cross valve is shut. Count the valve turns to match the placard, as this is the last opportunity to ensure the valve's integrity before introducing wellbore fluids and escalating the complexity of changing the flow cross. As with every 1502 connection, ensure the rubber seal is in good condition, then apply the 1502 cap. Before leaving, confirm that the needle valve and JIC cap are closed and tightened. Ensure all other jewelry on the flow cross is closed and capped before opening the swab and pressure testing the connection. Should the pressure test fail, bleed off the pressure from the flow cross and perform another half-moon tightening. Should the pressure test fail again, the ring gasket is likely defective, or the gap was not even during the tightening process. This event can be avoided if the proper practices are followed. The varying methods used to connect the flow cross to the return tanks and choke operations will be covered in separate training modules. This training module is not all-inclusive. Always seek clarification if something is not fully understood. You must stop the job if you have questions or concerns, particularly regarding health, safety, or environmental damage.